before we get into the weddings, we do have to talk about the one couple who I think brought the most drama and the ones that did not make it to the altar. Jackie and Marshall. Girl, there's so much to talk about with them, but just tell me your overall thoughts about their breakup and how that whole thing went down because it was pretty messy with her like getting with Josh and then that whole thing. There's so much to talk about with them, but what are your thoughts?
It was the definition of messy. I'm Team
Definition.
Marshall through and through. Team Marshall.
Mm,
Marshall is just the type of person I feel like that he's just so nice and just like he's exactly what I feel like
yeah.
anybody would want in a guy. He's
Mm,
centered, he cooks, he has such like great instincts. So I really enjoyed Marshall.
yeah.
I feel like him and Jackie just really didn't ever have a moment where they clicked. I mean, I think as soon as they started to click a little bit, I think that she started to pull away. I
Mhm.
really do believe that he had feelings for her and really just was trying and committed to the bit. But as far as like
Yeah.
what ended up happening with her and Josh, oh
Mhm.
man, here's I will play devil's advocate for a second. You go on this show to find love,
Okay.
right? And the idea and
Right.
the premise of the show, it's absurd. But once you get past the absurd aspect and you can just kind of lean into that, then
Mhm.
you know, go for it. But at the same time,
Sure.
like with her and Marshall, she didn't handle the Marshall situation correctly. She should have made sure that like everything was tied up with a bow before she even went and pursued Josh. Especially, I
Right.
believe that when you're making a decision like that, you know what you're doing. You know what you want. You know you want a different person. And I get it. Like
Sure.
she clicked with Josh at a different point in this show, and then he came back around. Again, the whole point of the show is to
Mm,
find love, but clean up your mess before you jump and potentially make another one. That's the way that I look at it. So I think that
I agree.
Marshall he got done dirty. He did, and I just feel bad
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
I really, really do. I think it just was handled
Yeah.
not in the correct way at all.
Yeah.
Even like with Josh and Marshall's interaction, you could just tell that like it was like I don't want to say that necessarily Josh is a bully, but it was very much like a bully versus nerd dynamic. Like the interaction that they
He was
had
trying
when
to
they
push
all were
his buttons.
together.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm with you 100%. I think, though,
Mhm.
what I'll add to what you said is I think that Marshall knew, I think, in his gut a little bit more than he let on that this thing with Jackie was not it. And I think that
Mhm.
Marshall has a little bit of responsibility of kind of getting into a relationship that mirrored his previous ones, where he kind of likes to be needed and he likes to feel like he can, I hate that he called her a project, but I think he's used to dating girls who do self-sabotage, and I think he chose to be in that situation, and there's something in him that he has to kind of figure out why he did that again, because I feel like when they were in the outside world, even on the honeymoon when things were well and still okay, you could kind of see there's a little bit of like tension of like they're both kind of
Yes.
acting scared, if that makes sense, of like
Mhm.
this is probably not going to work out. And I think even him cooking for her and doing all of that was a little bit overcompensating because I think he was always scared she was going to dip out and that this was going to implode. So I don't know. I do have thoughts about Marshall, but I feel for both of them to an extent. I definitely feel for Marshall a little bit more because let's talk about Jackie and this whole Joss situation, her meeting up seemingly while, Marshall's getting fitted for his tux.
That was
Wild. I
so
do,
heartbreaking. Oh my
girl,
goodness. Oh,
crazy.
I
But
yelled at my
okay, so
TV.
Jackie's been yelling at my TV, throwing popcorn,
Yeah.
screaming like this girl cannot be doing this. But Jackie's been, talking about on social media that was filmed, that was shown out of order, this, that, the third.
Mhm.
I hear that. Like you, I'll play devil's advocate. Let's say,
Sure.
she did meet up with Josh on a different day. But I mean, she said it to Marshall in their breakup. I met with Josh. Like, so this whole narrative of I broke up with him first and then I met with Josh. I'm just like, we'll have to talk about it, I guess, on the reunion. But I'm just like, it's just messy. To me, it's not even about her liking Josh. I think it's just disrespectful to not like conclude the relationship you were in before completely before you jumped into something else. So that's my problem with Jackie is that I feel like her self-sabotage or her fear or her, attachment style, whatever you wanna call it, her issues were bleeding into you're just being disrespectful, and it's just like, you're just kind of you're just not really being a good person to this other guy that didn't really have, he didn't need that. So, that's my
Right.
issue with Jackie, and the way she's been in interviews has been very, like, defensive, so Nick and Vanessa have a lot on their plate, and with Jackie and Josh, I don't know if you've seen this, Hannah, but they are together, y'all. Spoiler alert. Okay? Jackie has done an interview saying that her and Josh have moved in together.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
what do you think about that?
I haven't seen that interview. I did see a clip that was leaked that looked like it was the two of them at I think it was a baseball game, some type of sporting event. I think it was
Mhm.
baseball. So I
Mhm.
did see that. And that was
Right.
before I'd even really got further in the episodes were out, but I hadn't seen all of them up to that point yet. So I was kind of like, oh, why do I
Right.
oh, cool, somebody's together. Maybe this is a
Yeah, yeah,
potential
yeah.
couple spoiler. I didn't understand the backstory, so then I went and pulled the clip up again, and then
Sure.
I was losing my
You
mind. I
realize
was
you
like,
were
"Oh
spoiled.
my gosh." I was like,
Yeah. Yeah,
"Ah."
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that they're
Yeah,
happy, but she should have cleaned up the mess beforehand with Marshall. That's just what
totally.
needed to happen.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot that Nick and Vanessa have to grill
They better
Jackie
dig.
about with when it comes to they need to dig because there's even more that TikTok was bringing up of text messages Jackie was sending to her friends about Marshall, things that she was saying. There's just a lot to unpack with them. So I guess we'll have to see what happens on the live reunion.